Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy B Mahari here, represent MehariNation Sports Podcast here. Welcome to episode 22 of Basketball Conversations right here on this channel. Much love to the entire LDBC and the basketball community. You understand what I'm saying? During this whole quarantine situation that we've been going on around here for about since about January at this point right now. So hope y'all are staying safe. Hope you guys are taking care of yourselves, following the social distancing guidelines. I know the dumb people in Michigan weren't doing that, but that's no here or there. But with no further ado, let's get started here. Let's get started here on a Friday night. Make sure to smash the like button when you on the way in here too, guys. It helps the channel grow and helps bring out more viewership to the channel, though, guys. So make sure to smash the like button as you come on in here. Okay. So let's get down to it. Let's get down to it. So this week, I was listening to a podcast called the Cedric Maxwell podcast from the great Celtic power forward. Okay, that won two titles with the Celtics in the '80s. He was basically hosting a podcast and had Ray Allen as one of his guests. Okay, and they were basically talking about how Ray Allen made the decision to leave Boston to Miami after the 2012 season. You know what I mean? Because Ray Allen basically was at his wits' end with the Celtics for all the times that they put him in trade rumors and the disintegrated relationship between Rondo and Garnett. So it appeared to me that apparently the Boston fans were not happy about the decision they made. So what are they decided to do? Hand him out death threats galore, all over social media. Now, listen, man, y'all gotta stop, okay? Y'all gotta stop because listen, do you think these death threats are gonna do anything? No, absolutely not. And let me tell you, Boston fans, this, and I already posted a video about this though too. You know, yesterday on Thursday. Listen, you Boston fans are just damn hypocrites. Okay, where was the same anger when Rajon Rondo decided to go to the was basically traded to the Los Angeles Lakers? You understand? As we see my brother Derek McGee in the building, the first one in the building. Salute, brothers. How you doing? Now listen in here, man. Listen to this. Why is it that every time when a great Boston sports hero leaves Boston, that they get ridiculed and hated for it? I just don't seem to understand it. All right. Now I don't get why that this hate on Ray Allen continues. I don't get it because listen, if you want to wake up your memory boxes, okay, Ray Allen was on trade rumors nonstop. He was basically on trade rumors every single year, starting from 2010 up until the time that he left. All right, thanks to Mr. Danny Ainge and the Celtics organization. Now, where's the loyalty in that, man? Where's the damn loyalty? All right. Why is it that Ray Allen needs to come and take less money and take a lesser role to being a sixth man behind a younger player that was basically unproven? And that was Avery Bradley. I never understood it, and I don't get why these dumb Boston fans don't get it either. Because listen, listen, Ray Allen helped you win a championship. Okay, without Ray Allen, as a member of the Big Three with Pierce and Garnett, they have no rings together. That is what it is. As you see, front cast and foremost, what's going on, brother? What's going on? Look, man, I'm tired of this BS, man. I'm tired of this whole notion that Real left us, Real left to the enemy. First of all, man, he was a free agent, and besides that, even if he decided to resign with the Celtics, and which they offered him a little bit more money, but he saw the writing on the wall. It was just going to be another very bad tense situation in Boston. So he decided to make the grown man decision and leave to Miami. And I can never blame him for that. You know why? Because if I went through the same situation with Rondo and Garnett, always getting disrespected by the Celtics organization and not being appreciated, you know what? I would have done the same thing too. I would have said, "Hey, I got my championship ring. We did our run, but y'all not respecting me the way you guys should have had. So I'm gonna take my talents elsewhere. Bounce, deuces, and that's what happened, guys. That's exactly what happened. Okay, and you want to talk about when KD talks about Aaron's not a brother to us. He went to the enemy, bro. What was it? What was it then when the Celtics traded you to Brooklyn? And how about what they did to Paul Pierce after after spending all these years in Boston, playing for the Celtics since the day he was drafted, and then they traded him to Brooklyn. Like, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? As Frank Osborne says, Ray Allen definitely made the right decision. Absolutely. There's no doubt that Ray Allen made the right decision. And anybody tries to argue with me that the notion of, oh, Ray Allen made a betrayal and all that stuff. No, bro. Listen, it was Rondo and Garnett who betrayed Allen for not sticking up for him, not having his back, and not telling management to stop with these trade rumors. Otherwise, we're revolting or something like that. They should have done something to protect Ray Allen. And the fact that these guys didn't do that and didn't appreciate him, Ray Allen is a very smart man. He saw the writing on the wall and basically took his talents elsewhere. And he went to South Beach and won a championship out of it. So to this day, I will always side with Ray Allen on that whole issue. Rondo and Garnett, they're good people, man. They're tough as nails, but they wrong in this case, man. They're definitely wrong. And for these dumb, idiotic Boston fans that always want to sit around here and play the so-called victim role, y'all need to check yourselves. Seriously, man. Seriously, man. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And the way that you guys, did Ray Allen on the way out was absolutely garbage. Now, the thing that I really, really wish that someday that all three guys could sit down together and, just have a conversation with each other, and to try to talk this out, that's one thing. But the fact that these guys are not acknowledging about what happened when they left, okay, really shows what is wrong with these Celtics, man. Absolutely, man. I don't understand it. I don't get it. And I don't if Ray Allen doesn't want to talk to them for good, you know what? I have no problem with that. But don't sit here and try to pretend like Ray Allen's not a part of you guys. He is a part of you, and you guys won a championship out of it. And y'all should have won at least two if Garnett didn't injure his knee in 2009. All right. If they would have continued to build around the big three and continue to get younger pieces around that crew, they would have won at least maybe three. That's much I can tell you. But it wasn't meant to be. Because it is what it is. But I wanted to move on. I want to continue on the Ray Allen subject because there's another subject in mind that really sparked some news that I really saw in my direction. Now, according to an article from clutchpoints.com that was released for, he wants to he wants to try to repair the relationship with Ray Allen. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, Ray Allen played for the Milwaukee Bucks in the early stage of his career when he was drafted into the NBA. Okay, and in 1999, the Milwaukee Bucks hired George Karl as their head coach, and at that time, the Milwaukee Bucks were an up and coming team. They had Sam Cassell, the big dog, Glenn Robinson, Ray Allen, Tim Thomas, Darvin Ham, Irvin Johnson. Those guys were up and coming. And, through George Karl's coaching, he got them to 52 wins in 2001 and made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they ultimately lost to Iverson and the Philadelphia 76ers, but not without controversy. But this is not where it ends there, okay? George Karl talked about in his book how he and Ray Allen did not get along very well. And the way that Ray Allen, looked at George Karl, he didn't understand why George Karl didn't like him. It's just for some reason George Karl just did not like Ray Allen, whatever reason that he had. And if you read the book, you would know it would probably detail you about why George Karl had bitter feelings towards Ray Allen, which was which is absolutely ridiculous. And I already read the book. Okay, now George Karl was on the Locked On Bucks podcast, which is basically a Milwaukee Bucks affiliated podcast, and he talked about at length with his relationship with Ray Allen. This is what he said, end quote. So listen to me very carefully as I see the brother, the law, Lawrence Williams in the building. Salute, brother, salute. Let me get a drink of water real quick before I start reading here. All right. So this is what George Karl had to say through this clutchpoints.com. He said, because Sam and I always had a good relationship, and still do. Glenn Robinson is the quiet one, so he didn't. We didn't really know how he felt, and I think Ray Allen was a guy that I thought ruined the team. I bring it down. I bring it down. There you go. I mean, me bringing in Anthony Mason, which was a really dumb move at that part, but continue on. And I think the relationship did deteriorate. I mean, the whole thing was kind of a tough situation. You know, and it might have been my leadership being confrontational to a fault. Anthony Mason was a guy that was confrontational to him, to his teammates, and to me. And so there was maybe too much confrontation. That created a lot of negative energy that is hard to deal with. I would say to Ray, I would say to Ray would prefer not to be in his locker room. But I mean, I think it's probably all probably made mistakes, and I mean we probably talked to and said the wrong things. All right. Now this is what he basically said how he would want to basically make amends to Ray Allen. If Ray would reach out to me, I'd be glad to meet him. I think vice versa. I've seen Ray a couple of times when I worked with ESPN. We exchanged pleasantries and we weren't unfriendly. Okay, talking out this situation is going to take a day or day and a half. Golf and go drink some beers. This is not something that you're going to talk about in 5 minutes. It just doesn't happen that way. Ray is one of the few players I wish I could have had more time with because I think he's one of the most special talents that I've had in the NBA. And quote. George. What was those sentiments when you basically wrote the book and especially slashed out on all the players that you coached for? All right. There was no reason for all that confrontation, all that bad energy on that Milwaukee Bucks team. This was a very talented Milwaukee Bucks team that was only a game away from getting to the NBA Finals. But then you brought in Anthony Mason. You brought in a lot of negative energy because your ego was so obliterated that you felt like you were the star of the team when clearly you weren't. And that has been the biggest problem for George Karl throughout his entire coaching career. He always wants to be the center of attention, while the ranks as a head coach, you know, while the rankings as the head coach doesn't require having the attention. And Greg Popovich is one of the great examples where he deflects away from the attention. All right. Now, George Karl said, as I checked the question real quick, he said, Lawrence, we're sorry for the change of subject, but do you have an update on Ortiz and Ariel having the coronavirus as you previously reported? I haven't heard too much about it though. Off the top of the head, there hasn't been new reports on it yet. But I'll make sure to do a video in case I get new information on it. But thanks for asking, Lawrence Wins. I'll make sure to look into it. As I see the lovely Miss Boxing in the building. Hey, beautiful. Mwah. But yeah, Lawrence Wins. I'll make sure to get an update on that story though too, just to make sure that there's any changes to it whatsoever. But thanks for asking though, bro. I appreciate it. Now, back to what I was talking about. Okay, George Karl is a good coach. All right, but there's a category of good coach, great coach, and legendary coach. George Karl, to me, um, is basically a good coach. All right, he can get a good team and get the best out of that team and get them to a certain level. But when you ask him to get him to a championship level, that's where he falls off the mark because the problem with that is that it simply is this: George Karl's ego and his system always fell short when it came down to the big moments. It was been this consistent thing when he was coaching Golden State and when he was coaching the Seattle Supersonics, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Denver Nuggets. All right, because listen, as great as those teams were with George Karl, listen, he just could not get over the hump and win a championship. As Mr. Lawrence Williams said, the Bucks and Philadelphia had some great playoff games. Absolutely, no doubt in my mind, they were great. You know, but I always felt like George Karl created too many enemies and started off a lot of beats that he didn't need to do. All right. If he were better at basically mitigating those relationships and basically learning how to, communicate better with his top star players, he would have had better results. But again, George Karl is one of the biggest ego-driven coaches I've ever seen because his ego always gets in the way of his intellect, and as a result, he never was able to achieve the goal of a championship. With all the talented teams he had in Seattle and Milwaukee, and basically when he was in Denver too, and because of that, he created too many enemies, and now he's been kind of shunned away from NBA coaching circles, even though he's retired. Now I don't know. Now the problem is going to be because of the book that he made. The book that he made is going to probably deny him into the Hall of Fame. Okay, because he has a really good record. There's no doubt in my mind. And for a guy that beat cancer too, for you to write those kind of memoirs and to throw those kind of shots at your players that you basically worked for and release some of the locker room, secrets during your time as coach is really shady, man. It's absolutely shady, and I don't understand it, and I don't get it, and I don't blame the players that used to play for George Karl for having the feelings that they have today because George Karl was an ego-headed jackass, and he's not going to get the recognition that he deserves, and it's all his fault. So Ray Allen has been kind of in the news a lot this week, man, but I don't think Ray Allen doesn't even need to worry about it. If he chooses, if he wants to talk it over with George Karl, that's up to him. But if I were him, I would say, nah, I don't want nothing to do with you. I moved on from it. I'm already won a championship. I'm in the Hall of Fame. Why do I need to waste my time with you? So, that's just the sentiment I kind of figured though. But what it is, what it is. But we'll move on to the next subject here at hand here, and which is one of the big ones that came out this week. The number 2 prospect in the nation, Mr. Jalen Green, um, because of the whole pandemic that's been going on. So now Jalen Green, who's basically probably one of the top prospects in basketball, now has made the decision to play the G League instead of playing college basketball. Now, originally Jalen Green was supposed to. Let me check real quick to make sure I get this right. Let me check to be sure, because I temporarily forgot where he went to where he was going to be committed to. Uh-oh. 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 There we go. There we go. Yeah. So he was getting offers from basically 2 schools, Auburn and Michigan, and also maybe minor offers from Arizona and Florida State. But he decided to bypass college basketball and go to the G League. All right, basically saying, listen, I don't want to go to the NBA. I don't want to go to the NCAA route, and I'm going to go to the NBA route. And he signed basically a 1-year development program, which basically pays over $500,000. So this right here, guys, this right here is a huge game changer because here's the thing: with this whole notion that now that college basketball players, you know, let's put it like this: college athletes have not been getting paid what they're worth because the NCAA basically takes away all the money off of their likeness. And right now, the NCAA is facing a huge crossroads right now. because the problem they're facing is this. The problem is that how are you going to continue to carry this old guard of, oh no, we don't want to endorse paying these athletes because this will encourage cheating by basically paying off recruits, while at the same time most of these top colleges are already doing it. They're already doing it behind the scenes under your own watch. And so how you going to sit here and say that's basically not cheating when for decades you have basically stripped the college basketball players like this off out the ass, and you made a lot of money out of it. Why do you think that college football and college basketball are the biggest two money making sports in all college? You know why? Because they produce the most money and the most revenue, and that's how they get a lot of the stuff from their merchandise and a lot of their TV contracts. Okay, I mean it's not hard to follow, guys. It's really not hard to follow. So here's my 2 cents in the situation. Okay, if an athlete knows that they're not getting paid what they worth when they turn 18 and when they have decided to either go to college or basically go to a development league, the big thing is gonna be how's the NCAA going to counter this? Because listen, California has already passed a law where college athletes can use their likeness to make for any amount for any profit for whatsoever because they already seen the double standards and hypocrisy, and other states are going to slowly follow suit. So the NCAA cannot continue to play this kind of double standards and these type of bogus ass arguments. All right, and I hope that Jalen is going to continue to develop his talent while getting paid what he deserves. But this is a huge game changer now because this coronavirus pandemic, while stuck in quarantine, while there's no sports involved, now college athletes are looking at this like, hey, I might do the same thing, and plus college hockey players can basically still get drafted and still return back to college. So really, in a sense, though, man, the NCAA has got to do something about this because if they don't, they're going to continue to get ripped out the ass as they deserve, and going to lose more good college players and going to lose a lot of money out of this. Pay the athletes. It's very simple. Pay the damn athletes. Pay them to what they earn. Pay them to the percentage of the sport that they create, of the revenue of the sport they play on, and go from there. All right. Now I know that's just a rough draft idea, but you get my point. As Fast and Foremost says, go move by Jalen. I hope this changes things. It will change things too for sure, and hopefully that more of the top college athlete prospects do the same. Listen, if NCAA continues to play the old double standard, BS, go go to the minor leagues, go to the G League, go somewhere where you're gonna get paid to what your talent deserves. You understand what I'm saying? It's really comes down to it is this: get paid to what your talent deserves. Because remember, if they break any bone in their body or they injure themselves for permanently, let us get them compensated so that way they know that they're going to still have money coming in. It's really not a hard thing to do. You know what I mean? Uh, so now, with that topic out the way here, now I am going to discuss about the Last Dance, which is basically the Chicago Bulls, 97-98 season. Now, the documentary, it's actually going to be a 10-part documentary series from ESPN 30 for 30. Now, for a lot of you sports fans, a lot of us sports fans are basically, love to reflect and watch back to all great dynasties when it came to its conclusion. I was basically 6 years old when during the 97-98 season when the Bulls were basically going through their last run as the defending NBA champions. I mean, pretty much at that time, you know, Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Krause wanted to prove that they can win a championship outside of Jordan, Pippen, and Ryman and Jackson. And unfortunately, what I really hate about that whole ride is that this all could have been so easily preventable. They could have just suck up their pride, kept Jordan and Jackson to long-term deals and built a younger core outside of the old guard. That would have been a smart management thing to do, but they didn't want to do that. They wanted to rid themselves of Pippen, Jordan, and Jackson, okay, and wanted to start anew. Ridiculous, man. Now I'm gonna give Jerry Krause his just due on this. Jerry Krause back then, when he was the executive and the general manager of the team, he was a really good executive. He really was. When it came to scouting talent and finding valuable pieces, he was the guy that found pieces in the rough. He was able to he scouted Horace Grant. He made the draft pick for Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen, and then he made the bold trade trading Charles Oakley for Bill Cartwright to complement a big man, so that way Horace Grant could play the power forward. Okay. Now, those were really great moves on his part. I mean, the complimentary pieces along that too along the way when they won their first three championships. And when Jordan came back, he traded Will Perdue to San Antonio for Dennis Rodman, which gave him defense and rebounding, something that they lacked when Jordan came back out of retirement. All right. But I really get the sense that a lot of it had to do with the fact that Jerry Krause was 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 resentful to the fact that, one, he wasn't given the full credit that he deserves for building the team, and two, I read that Jordan and you know Krause did not see eye to eye with each other, and Jordan would be verbally abusive towards Jerry Krause, and over time, that resentment and hatred towards Jordan slowly builded up to a point where finally in 97, 98, that Jerry Krause only accepted the 1 year deal for Phil Jackson, but then after that, it was a wrap because Jerry Krause and Phil Jackson couldn't stand each other. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. And yep, thank you. I just forgot about that. He said Krause tried to trade Pippen to get a lottery pick to get Tracy McGrady. Yep, he nearly did it. And plus, and here's another thing though too that I didn't recognize. Garnett, before he signed the $126 million deal with Minnesota, was already a free agent. Okay, and he was basically trying to be lured into Chicago, but based on how Krause and Reinsdorf treated, Jordan and Pippen, most of the top free agents didn't want to go there. You know what I mean? See, I get the sense that we're going to see what kind of led to the breakup because Krause was more resentful to the fact that, one, he wasn't giving the credit, and two, he was basically the punching bag for both Jordan and Pippen. Because remember, on 97 draft night, the Bulls wanted to trade Scottie Pippen to the Boston Celtics for one of those draft picks, but it never happened, and thankfully it didn't happen. Now, if I was Pippen, though, I would have been very angry because I read that Pippen at one point was receiving only a $500,000, per season, and basically was getting paid minimal as his superstar value deserved. Okay, now for a guy like a Jim McIlvaine who played for the Sonics, received 7 years worth $33 million, was absolutely one of the garbage deals you've ever seen. Listen, if I was Pippen, I would have been upset too, and probably bit more resentful towards management because, listen, I put in so many years. I basically, with all team defense, 93, 94 season, I was basically the most valuable player. If it wasn't for Olajuwon, okay, led them to 55 regular season victories, and if it wasn't for the damn Hugh Hollins call in Game 5, they would have made the NBA Finals, but it wasn't meant to be. And basically, Tony Kukoc was getting paid more than Scottie Pippen, which is absolutely ridiculous. And we see the crazy man George Page in the building. He says, everyone knows that it was Jordan that made all the calls. Oh, stop. And he says Scottie was treated like a redheaded stop child. And Frank Formosa says, yeah, Pittman's contract was horrible. Yeah, absolutely horrible. All right. He was not getting paid to what he deserved, and he wanted a contract extension. And the Bulls organization wasn't giving it to him. So think about this though, guys. If you're Scottie Pippen and you're putting up all these great accolades and you're one of the 50 greatest players of all time, and you're getting paid below your all-star value that you should be that you deserve, of course you're gonna be mad. Of course it should take you off. All right. Now, of course, Pippen became a valuable complementary player when he was playing in Houston and during his years in Portland. But Pippen had more mileage left in the tank. But when he went into back surgery, it was kind of the decline of of uh of Pippen's effectiveness. Even though he was still a very top defender and can still contribute in big ways. As Frank and Fomo said, Ryan Stores has blind loyalty to all his GMs. You got that right. See, Ryan Store was more of a hands-off type of owner. What I mean is that Jerry Reinsdorf was the kind of person that didn't want to get in the way of management, doing their jobs and doing their normal, daily operations. He believed that he let the executives and the management make their decisions. But sometimes as the owner, you got to step in to protect something that is good. Even though I don't like George Steinbrenner personally, the one thing I will say about George Steinbrenner is that if management's ego was getting in the way of what they were being successful at, George Steinbrenner would have had no problem stepping in and saying, listen, we're not cutting away this team. We're keeping this thing together. Now, imagine if George Steinbrenner was owning the Bulls. You think that he would allow Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Phil Jackson and Dennis Rodman to walk away, just like that after 98? I doubt that. I think he would have fired Jerry Krause before then and would have done everything he can to keep those guys together. As long as they were winning, that's what it was gonna be. And that's why, you know, you know, Steinbrenner, through all of his faults, was still able to win championships. All right. And yes, he let management do their jobs. But listen, he knew how to keep everything together. George Page basically said Scotty was a good player, but he never got the push to be a leader. Okay. Frank Boomer says first year Mike MJ Miss Pittman was a top 3 player in the league. Damn right he was. And I think and the one thing that I really hate the fact of how people continuously disrespect Scottie Pippen as a Batman. Listen, this guy was one of the top 3 best defensive players in the NBA. 93, 94, he showed his all-around game, improved jump shot, and he showed what he was able to do. And I will make the case through the early stages of the 95-96 season, Pippen was playing at the highest level you could ever imagine. And he was basically the best defender on that Bulls team. Now, don't get me wrong, Michael was always Michael, and he was still one of the top 10 best defenders in the game. But Pippen was basically a defensive anchor and a defensive specialist. He would shut down your best player and he would take you out of your offense. All right. And still was what more frequently athletic than Jordan was. But when the back surgery came into play and when his foot got injured in 96, 97, it basically began the slow decline of his game. Even though in Portland, he still showed what he's able to do. All right. Now, if he would have won that infamous Game 7 against the Lakers, against Kobe and Shaq in 2000, I think that you could probably make the case that he was probably one of the top 5 greatest players of his era. But that's near here or there. As Mr. George Page basically said, Steinbrenner fired Bill Martin 2 or 3 times. Yeah, I know, bro. But I think Steinbrenner, in the latter stages of the 90s and onwards, kind of stopped this notion of firing managers, 2 or 3 times and then bringing them back. Like, bro, listen, if you fire Bill Martin one time, just don't bring him back. But he had too much of a soft spot for Billy Martin during the 70s and 80s. That's why he kept coming back so many times. But, Pippen is still one of the great players in the history of the game. Now, I would put him as maybe top 30. Maybe you can make a case he could be probably top 22 if you want to make that kind of distinction. But Pippen was the most important player for that Bulls team because without Pippen helping out Michael Jordan, they don't win championships. And that's the fact. As Frank Foremost says, the best wing defender ever, in my opinion. I do agree with that 100%. And even if we're playing in today's NBA, he would know how to find a way to limit LeBron James. All right. Because what the Pippen was able to do during that time was unbelievably scary. It was just ridiculous how great of a defender he was. For a lot of you kids out there that's listening to this live stream, go check out Pippen's defensive work. Just unbelievable. I think in the second 3P team, Pippen was the best defensive player on the team, and I'm surprised he never won a Defensive Player of the Year award because the way he was able to defend, the guards and the forwards, man, it was just unbelievable. And make sure to smash the like button though too, guys. Make sure to smash that like button. Now, to close out tonight's show, um, listen, I was thinking about how would LeBron James fare in the era where you were allowed to play defense, allowed to play physical ball. Now, I was having this kind of debate, on Ticket TV's live stream last week. And listen, as great as LeBron James is, LeBron James, I think, would have had a tougher time adjusting to um, the physical nature of the 80s and the 90s in terms of the physicalness that it was required to. And I'm gonna tell you why. Every single game LeBron James plays, he always drove to the basket, put his head down, drive to the basket at will. But every time when that happens, though, too, it would basically he would either get fouled or maybe get called for an offensive foul sometimes. But in today's basketball, is more open lanes, there's less physicality, and you get to go to the basket untouched. Now, when you're playing in the 90s, you keep doing that for almost 82 games per season. That takes its toll in the long run. Now, the one guy that did play with that kind of, aggressive, attacking mentality was Kevin Johnson of the Phoenix Suns. One of the best penetrating, one of the best finishing guards in the game. But he was basically out of the league when he was only 33 years of age in 2000 because playing that aggressive style, going to the basket at will and taking the punishment in the paint, that takes its toll in the long run. And there's a reason why Kevin Johnson was frequently hurt with his sports hernia, his quadricep and his knee injuries. It There was a reason for that because that aggressive style takes its toll in the long run. You know what I mean? He put up great numbers when he was healthy and was a four-time All-Star. I mean, when he was healthy, he outplayed Magic Johnson in those 1990 playoffs. Go check out the stats on that one. But he was basically getting hurt a lot. And in the long run, that aggressive style, took its toll on him. Now, I think LeBron James would have still fared out okay, but he would have had to adjust and maybe alter his style of offense a bit to try to sewer and try to adjust the physicalness that the 80s and 90s play would have caused. You know what I mean? And so on and so forth. LeBron James, to me, as great as he is, would have had a tougher time, scoring, it was scoring, and probably playing the physical defense that was required, you know, to get out there and get after people. So let me check out the chat real quick. He said George Space says LeBron would have been a star in the period compared to now. What he said would have been a star in that period. I don't know. I don't know, George Payne. I don't know about that though, my man. I am not sure. Bryce Portmore says, yeah, KJ was good. Yeah, absolutely. Very explosive. Francis Foremost said LeBron would have had to play like Magic. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I would agree. He's basically, Magic Johnson at that period. Yeah, hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. He said George Page said LeBron would have been a big star, big as a star back then. Yeah, I do agree with that. I think more Frank Supermas made a good point. He said that he would have to play like Magic. Yeah, he would have. Because LeBron is a very good passer and he knows how to, set his teammates up. He knows how to run an offense. The problem with LeBron is this. I always felt that LeBron James, through all his glibs, through all his greatness, has never really comprehended the reality of taking control of the game and basically, you know, making the clutch shots and the big moments. That's where he fell short of. And listen, this guy should have, with all of his talents, he should have won at least uh 6 championships. All right, he should have won at least 6 championships, but he never did. He always fell short in the big moments, and when the big moment came, he would cave in or he would just pass it away to somebody else. And Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant never shied away from the big moment. Even if they missed, they would have still been aggressive and would have wanted more. And Magic Johnson, after he learned his lessons in '84, the mistakes he made, he had to look himself in the mirror and recognize I need to change my style, but also I need to prove to myself that with the ball in my hands, I'm the one in charge and I know how to handle myself in the big moment. And he redeemed himself in '85, and that clutch moment in '87 against the Celtics was the defining moment for him because he knew that he surpassed Bird as the best player of that period. Is what it is, though, y'all. So that's why I think that LeBron would have had a tougher time, adjusting to the physicalness. Now, he's very talented and he's a very smart basketball player. So, of course, he's going to find a way to still get his points. But that aggressive, taking the ball to the basket on every single play, running it, putting his head down against the defense in the long run would have taken his toll on him. And he would have been out of the league by at least 10 to 12 years because I don't think he would have been able to survive playing that kind of punishing style for that longevity. And George Page said, imagine him playing against the likes of the Vin Bakers, the Charles Oakley, the Bill Lambiers, and the Charles Barkley. Right. Not only that, Mr. Page, how about Xavier McDaniel, Anthony Mason, Rick Mahorn? Those were guys back then. You weren't gonna go to the basket without meeting them. Okay, they were either gonna block your shot or put you on your ass. That's how the '80s and the '90s were. You weren't getting no free buckets. You had to physically earn it when you came into the point. So, I felt that LeBron would have still been able to be effective, but he was going to have to adjust his style to survive a long time in the NBA. That's how I think of it, and that's how my basketball you know IQ stands at this particular point in time. But yeah, guys, yeah, man, I think that's pretty much all I have for now, though, guys. But you know, it was still is there's still a lot of good things going on in the world of sports. But I might come back for a review on the first part of the ESPN 30 for 30 documentary and give my review on the first episode, and from here on in, as we go through 10 episodes of that entire 97-98 season of the Chicago Bulls. You know what I mean? George Bay said he would have looked like a victim of assault. Man, George Page, you are a savage, bro. You are an absolute savage, man. Yeah, the way that LeBron flops a lot, I don't think that he would have gotten away with that. I don't think so. He would. Oh my goodness, though, man. The way he flops his head back and forth, stuff like that. Bill Legway would have punched him in the face if that happened. Oh man, that was freaking hilarious. But yeah, go guys. I'm gonna go ahead and close it down for now, though, guys. I'll be back Sunday, either for boxing talk or the review of the ESPN 30 for 30 documentary, though, guys. But make sure to smash the like button on the way out, though, too, guys. Stay safe with this whole quarantine thing. Make sure to take your medicines, take your vitamins real well, and continue to practice this social distancing, and hopefully that this whole pandemic slows down soon enough. You know what I mean? So, yeah, absolutely. Frank and foremost, yep, that Rich is for you. You know what though, bro? You give out good comments on the videos that I do out though, bro. So it was my opportunity to make sure to give you a wrench. All right. And yes, George Page, you have a wrench too. All right. Yes, you do. So I trust you guys to use these wrenches wisely, okay? Because once we get to a certain max of subscribers, I'm gonna stop passing out wrenches. I trust you guys to do the right thing with these wrenches. But this is all it for now, though, guys. But thank you guys for tuning in for basketball conversations right here on this channel. Much love to the entire LDBC, and have a great night, guys.